All right, so we're live now for Gamers Talking Part 2, of course, the end of year stream where we talk about the worthwhile news and releases in the world of gaming. We had some good fun last time, so we're here to continue it. Of course, with me as always is, of course, Peter
Hello.
and the Wombat in Chief, Mr. Wombat.
Good morning.
So we started off last time talking about console price increases. And obviously, Xbox had done it after Nintendo had done it, seemingly Nintendo setting the trend for all that. And of course, Sony at the time had not. So that didn't last long because, well, their consoles were increased in price by around $50/£40 each to what you see on the screen now. It's not as much as the other two, but obviously it's disappointing, but ultimately not surprising. But as I've got two PC folk with me on the stream, over to you guys on this one.
Yeah, it's going to happen again this year, and you can blame the AI bros for this one. And the next price increases will be significant because basically what's happening with all the AI stuff now, one of the things that the AI servers need a lot of is RAM.
Yeah.
So that's why you had the announcement this week that Micron was getting out of the consumer market, and they were just selling all their RAM to AI stuff. So you get this is going to happen again. It's just because certain hardware prices always go up. I mean, the reason it didn't go up higher, is because it's not like consoles have actually got graphics cards in them that matter. So that's why it wasn't as bad. But so the problem is you're going to see the RAM pricing go up. So, but Gaben is here to save us.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, ultimately, I wasn't surprised because they obviously the PlayStation released their newer model earlier in the year, and the price of that annoyed me enough as it was. But well, yeah, okay. Like I said, I weren't totally surprised at this one. Um, but then, as if that wasn't enough, Xbox decided to increase their prices for a second time. And here's the list of the prices. I'll read it out for anyone listening. So the Xbox S 512 gigabytes up $20 to $379.99. Series 1 terabyte up $20 to $429.99. Xbox X digital up $50. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong, aren't I? Sorry. I'm reading the fucking wrong prices out. Okay,
No,
so
yeah,
yeah,
you're all right.
yeah.
You're all right. Yeah, yeah.
Xbox Series X regular console up $50 to $650, and the Xbox X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition. What the fuck is that? Is up $70 to basically $800.
And that's not also, and that's not including the subscription increases that
We're
go with it.
we're, we're, we're
Yeah.
gonna get to that in a second.
Yeah,
But
that last one's just the extra, extra, extra special, all important. Must be an absolute Xbox game
yeah,
bro kind of
Must be
exclusive
a
console.
yeah,
hardcore gamer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I'll stop sharing this because, well, wouldn't you believe it? As you just hinted at, that wasn't the only thing that Xbox put their prices up on. So the Xbox Game Pass price was increased by about 50%. So from $20 or £15 to $30 or $22.99. Basically, and ironically, in dollars, it's $360 a year. To which I can't remember who it was, but someone on Twitter said, "Oh, so when you said 360, I thought you meant console, not per year." And this has led to apparently loads of people cancelling their Game Pass subscriptions, and some, as this article says, even the service's cancellation page had crashed due to demand. Yeah, not
Yeah,
good.
this is a mandate from Microsoft themselves because basically, I've seen a couple of business YouTubers cover this, but essentially, Microsoft has demanded a minimum of a 30% profit margin on all Xbox and gaming products.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they are just extracting as much blood from the stone as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing is they've said it has to be at least 30%. And the thing is, you look at the profit margins for PlayStation and Nintendo. Yeah, they're in their 20%, right? So Microsoft mandating a 30% profit margin, and this affects the game studios as well.
Yeah.
Right. This is why you're just going to see, anything Xbox, any studio owned by Microsoft is just going to be pumping out the most high profit, low cost, slop as often as possible to meet those targets. Right. It's meet the targets or get sacked.
Yeah, it's not great, isn't it, to have
Well,
that hanging over you?
Well, it's Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is just this is business, right?
Yeah, it's
So
got.
it's a stupid mandate as well.
Yeah,
right.
I can only feel sorry for the staff they've still got, having to work with that hanging over their heads. It's got to feel shit.
Oh, again, and the thing is, this is the overwhelming. A lot of AAA stuff these days now. It's they're going no, line must go up. Big profit, give. Right, because again, so they're all publicly traded, or they're owned by major corporations like Microsoft or Sony, and so it's just get as much out of it as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
So
not so great with that.
Yeah. So this is another reason why people just should be dropping AAA, because you're just going to get increasingly predatory, extract as much money in the shortest time possible. Gimmicks and mechanics in AAA games, because that's what they're now incentivized to do, right? Games, any games release have to, make back their investment in the shortest amount of time plus the profit margin.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm saying people just ignore the AAA stuff and look at everything else, right? There's again, you've got some fantastic independent releases, and the more you support the smaller independents, the better they'll get. And hopefully they don't get borged by one of the majors.
Yeah. So then we've got this, which you just alluded to. Well, Steam, when announced, the Steam Machine. Effectively,
all praise Gaben.
Yeah. So, is it fair to call this a PC console hybrid, or is it just a PC? I mean, I don't know.
It's a PC. Like it run, and it's a PC that runs Steam OS.
Yeah.
So because I saw like initial rumors about this, and I saw it's a games. I saw a games journalist going, it's this, and it's gonna run Windows. And I'm like, no, that's stupid from a cost point of view, because again, they would, if they want this to be successful, given how expensive the existing console market is, they're going to have the ability to have this come in well under, as low as hardware prices will allow them to, to be able to compete, right? And now it's running Steam OS, which is it's essentially Steam's version of Linux with all the crap kicked out of it and actually written properly. So, and they've got access to the entire Steam library. So it's going to be really interesting what it releases, because it gets rid of the fundamental problem that all consoles have had, which is, you've released a new console. Day one release, no, there's no games for it yet, right? It takes 6 months at least for games to turn up. Well, Steam, you've got the entire Steam library. Anything that can be emulated on a Steam Deck, and then probably some higher end stuff as well, will be available on this. So Steam literally releases with like millions of games, Steam Deck millions of games day one.
Yeah.
So,
but the downside to it is there's been no price announced yet, which I got to say makes me very weary.
I get that, and this is the thing. It's going to be. I think Steam will be negotiating with hardware suppliers, etc. And unfortunately for Steam, it's just terrible timing, and with the AI stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Going back, it's like we now have a RAM getting squeezed in pricing, which is going to unnecessarily drive the price up because of that. So yeah, we'll just have to see. Right. But the good thing is, like, Steam doesn't have to pay operating system royalties, etc.
Mhm.
So, and Steam, this is the thing. Steam could actually have this as a loss leader because, it's gonna, they're gonna make their money on the Steam store,
Yeah.
right? Everyone's just buying games on Steam.
Mhm.
So, and that's where Valve makes its money anyway. I mean, I'm sure, even if it's not super profitable, I'm sure Gaben won't mind that he can't buy another yacht,
Yeah.
as soon as he'd like. But I still think this will be a success.
I mean,
Mind you, I don't care for the marketing. I'm like, oh
no,
guys,
well, this
oh
Yeah,
no,
that.
oh
the
no,
yeah,
Steam, why? Yeah.
these two here, I mean, there's jokes I could make here, but I won't.
No, again, it's my thing is that's kind of a red flag for me. I'm like, Steam, you're letting that crowd in.
Yeah.
Like, who decided it was a good idea? Like, there's the trans representation. I'm like, don't like that's a brown M&M. I'm gonna start calling that stuff brown M&Ms.
Yeah. So I look forward to seeing the price of this announced, but I'm weary because
Well, yeah, and the thing is, but the price of stuff, it'd just be interesting to see what it comes in as compared to the other consoles.
yeah.
Because that will tell you how much of the console market, the price stuff is just being driven by the underlying hardware.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm going to be optimistic and wait and see on that one, because if it comes out at what I think is a good price, then you know what, I hope it does extremely well. But if they're going to charge way too much for it, because this is why I can't stand the console market now, because of the prices, then I don't have good hopes for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see Valve like. I can see them making a lot, like, for getting people. It's the same business model as Apple in some respects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Apple. I mean, no, well, Apple. That's actually a bad analogy, because Apple makes a ridiculous amount of profit margin on their hardware devices because people don't know any better.
Because it's overpriced.
Well, it is, and again, people buying it for the brand, TM. But no, I can still see Valve having that one as, they'll be more or less selling the Steam console at hardware cost or even a slight loss, because Steam sales are a thing.
Yeah.
Right, Steam doesn't have to
yeah.
worry about games exclusives, etc. They're going to get people who are going to get Steam consoles and are going to spend, will make up whatever loss margin on the hardware. Will probably make it up in bloody Steam store sales. I can talk.
Yeah.
Within the first 6 months, right? And then it's just that ongoing infrastructure of, oh, hey, you're all your games. And the other thing is, again, people like us, if I wanted a console, I'd get a Steam console because, hey, I've got an existing Steam library.
Yeah.
Right, so if I want to play that, there's quite a few games in my library that are console games. You play with a controller.
Yeah.
That I got on my PC, and I'm like, I plug in a third-party controller, and they work all right. But I'd rather, if I'm going to play them properly emulated on a Steam console, it's great. It means that you don't get the millisecond button lag, etc. And it's just sometimes it's nice to be able to sit in front of a console and just play those sort of
All right. So
console style games.
one
I mean, it's in front of TV.
Yeah. So one thing question I got for both of you then: what's the memory on your PCs like? What's your capacity?
I'm at 32 gig.
Okay, and Peter?
I got no idea because I haven't touched anything regarding that. And
I
how many
built your
gigs-
PC. I built your PC, dear. You are also at 32 gig.
So
I haven't had anything upgraded on it as far as that's concerned in like 8 years.
Yep. Yeah, but you always know there's no kill like overkill.
You overbuild every time.
Yeah.
so what do you make of the memory capacity models options on the Steam machine? Are they good for you?
To be honest, I haven't actually looked at it. What were the memory options?
I will go back to it and where are we?
Because the other thing is, you've got to be aware that the memory, because they're running Steam OS and they have their own customized OS, it's not as memory hungry as what Windows is.
So here's your
it'll be
storage
optimized.
options.
Yeah, that's your storage. Yeah, that's fine. Like, yeah, that's storage is fine. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, expandable storage via micro SD. Fantastic. Yeah, it doesn't tell you what the internal hardware RAM is though. Right, so that's storage. What we're looking for is operating RAM, and they haven't given that number yet, because I think they're probably still negotiating that in terms of hardware stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why it comes back to that RAM, like that cost of RAM. So they're going to be sitting there balancing, going, what can we get away with?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going to be optimal for your price point? Funnily enough, I'm doing this is part of what I do for a job, IRL, is with my current employer working out, hey, we want to run different types of virtual machine for our customer, for our user base. What's the optimal, 8 or 16? Well, 8's not quite enough and 16's too much, but they're the only options we have. So how much can we optimize to minimize the RAM footprint? So can we get away with 8?
Mm-hmm.
So Valve will be doing that internally. They'll be optimizing the hell out of the Steam OS because they can, to minimize the RAM. But I reckon it'll come in at 16 gig.
Okay.
It just depends on their architecture. So, and this, for example, we can look at the consoles. So what you can do to cut down on RAM usage is you can use higher speed RAM, but then you can it's a shared, this is what the PlayStation does, right? This is why it's such a pain in the ass for a lot of game developers. So the way the PlayStation works is it has a shared RAM pool for both graphics and operating system RAM, right? So in a PC, your graphics card's got its own RAM, and then you've got, my machine's got 32 gig of RAM and my graphics card's got 8 gig of RAM, right? So it uses the video card RAM for video card stuff and the system RAM for everything else. Well, you can use it as a shared model.
Yeah.
So you could have a machine that's got 24 gig of RAM, 8 gig for graphic, 16. Yeah. So it just depends on their architecture and how they want to do it. It's just going to be a case. I hope they'll learn the lessons. If they do it that way, I hope they learn the lessons of stuff like PlayStation and the rest of it. And actually, if you're going to do that, have either a bigger RAM pool, or I would even argue split it, because the other thing is going to be upgradability, because whether Valve's going to go the route of, hey, we're going to make this thing upgradable, right? Rather than having it as a, fixed life console. But even then, your upgradability is going to be, limited, etc. But at the same time, so I'm thinking out loud, if I were working at Valve, because the other thing is that hardware these days is kind of plateaued in terms of CPU, where the bottlenecks are. Right. So in terms of CPU, graphics cards have more or less sort of leveled off. CPUs more or less leveled off. So yeah, it'd be whether you engineer it that you've got, it's upgradable or not. But if I were Valve, I'd be going, separate video and system RAM, but that drives up the cost. So without being privy to that business stuff, there's pros and cons for doing it either way.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next one then. We had a couple of bits of bad news come out of the gaming industry, and this was one of them. So Microsoft announced a large amount of job layoffs, which ended up being, 6,000 initially in July. That was roughly 9,000 more according to this.
Hang on, is this for Microsoft? Yeah, no, and people, again, in the US, this just means that Microsoft is hiring 12,000 Indians.
Wow.
And I'll go into the economics of this. Finish your blurb, I'll explain what's actually happening.
I'm trying to find where it was, but one source I read said that Microsoft were investing more in AI.
A lot of Indians. I work in the industry, and I know plenty of people who work in the industry as well. I know people who work at Microsoft. No, this whole AI thing is, so what's happened in the US is, due to various circumstances, things like healthcare that the company pays for its employees, various things like that have gone through the costs of those have gone through the absolute roof. So what all these big US companies are doing are going, wait, we can just hire H-1Bs and mostly Indians on various visas, and then we don't have to pay pension, we don't have to pay healthcare, and it works out to be ridiculously cheap for them. Yeah, when you're seeing all these layoffs, I just said, that's why I say AI, using AI as an excuse, it's a lot of Indians, right? That's what the big debate is in the moment, because you'll see that whenever they do these layoffs, for anyone watching this stuff, what you do is you look at the company's overall head count, right, which is publicly available, and you'll notice, we're laying off, they'll say, we're laying off 10,000 people, right? So you'd think their overall head count would go down. It doesn't. It actually goes up, and it usually goes up by about 20 or 30%. So that tells you, no, they're not laying off to reduce overall head count. They're laying off to get rid of the local workers who cost them a whole heap of money, and then they're just replacing them with cheap overseas, or they're outsourcing to Hyperbad or various other places. But yeah, that'll be the thing to look at the economic. When they do the you'll see a lot of companies doing their financial year reporting in January, February next year, because the US financial year ends in December. You'll see their overall headcount will go up, but their cost of revenue, which is basically the wages and cost of that sort of stuff, will go down dramatically, right? So their profitability will go up. But that's what's happening. And again, I hate that they're using AI as an excuse because that's the current buzzword, right? And so whenever you see company going, oh, due to AI, just mentally replace AI with a lot of Indians, because that's. And the thing is, I feel bad because it's, again, I'm not blaming individual people for that. I'm not blaming. I've said, working in IT, I've worked for some fantastic Indian guys, but at the same time, these in the US especially, the H-1B visa is extremely exploitative of the workers themselves, because it just makes them essentially, serfs. Oh yeah, because your residency and everything else is tied to your job, right? Oh, behave yourself or we'll send you back to India is basically what they'll do. And so yeah, they pay them pennies on the dollar, and this is why a lot of people get really upset about it, right? I know the argument out there is, oh, you're being racist because you don't like Indians. Like, no, it's more a case of the people they bring in, they're paying. It undercuts the wages of everyone, and we don't. If you're going to come into a country, and I'm the same for coming into Australia. If you're going to come into Australia, I want you paid at the market rate. I want you to get paid as much as I do, right? I don't want you to come in, be exploited, and then at the same time undercut everyone's wages, which hurts you as well as everyone else. So that's the main argument against this sort of stuff. But yeah, it just seems to be American companies, especially due to market forces and the way that things are structured. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, but I this quote here from makes me, well, sigh, I suppose. From the ex-employee Deborah Henderson, it wasn't so much like watching a car wreck, said the 45-year-old who lives in Seattle. It was more like you were in the car knowing it was going to wreck. That's not
Yeah,
great.
so I imagine a lot of those employees are, if anyone's seen Pitch Black, the opening scene in Pitch Black with the pilots just sitting in the cockpit watching the ground come up at a high rate. Yeah, I think. Well, speaking of that, I think we'll talk about that in the comic stream. I think a lot of the DC Comics crowd, now that Netflix is trying to buy Time Warner or Warner Brothers Discovery, I think there's a lot of people who are just looking at that coming up at them with just fear and unable to do anything.
Yeah,
and I feel for them. For the rank and file people, I genuinely feel bad for them.
So those weren't the only layoffs announced. Square Enix, not as bad as Microsoft, obviously. A mass layoff of 100 UK staff.
So Squeenix, yeah. So Squeenix is cleaning house, and this is different.
There are also an unconfirmed number of layoffs in the US as well, I should add.
Yes, because US and UK Squeenix, they went woke, right? And again, you had a lot of complaints, and there was a lot of controversy stuff generated by the Western Squeenix studios with bad localizations.
Bad writing as well with that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So the Japanese parent company's just gone, nope, goodbye, and that's cleaned house.
Yeah. I feel bad for them, but because, and I'll point this out now for anyone listening, I do not cheer on people losing jobs, because I've been through it myself twice in almost as many years, and it's a horrible experience. However, when they lay the seeds for their own destruction, I have little sympathy for them, and this appears to be a case for that, because it was the fantasy game they made. Oh, I can't think of its name now.
Forspoken.
That's it. Yes, where the script for that game, it felt like it had been written with crayon.
Pretty much was.
Yeah, and well, if you've not played the game or seen the footage, I suggest looking it up, because the dialogue alone of the main character is unbelievable.
And even the intro to the character is bloody awful, because she right off the bat is portrayed as a terrible person who never gets any better. And it's basically like, oh, so you're saying to me she's basically done all this thievery and whatnot, gotten into gang stuff, and has done this multiple times over, to the point the judge is tired of her because she won't stop doing it, and literally told her, last chance or you're going to jail, stop it. And she still does it. and I'm meant to be playing this character, and I'm meant to sympathize with her. When you shown me right off the bat, she is an unrepentant asshole.
Yeah.
Who will just keep doing it because but I'm deserving of this. I'm due this because I've had a rough time in life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just to be fair, I mean, you could enjoy the top tier writing of the latest Metroid game.
We'll get to that.
In the business, they call that foreshadowing.
Yeah. But yeah, again, I feel bad for them, but when they've kind of done this themselves, I'm afraid you're not going to get much sympathy for me. I won't celebrate it still, but I'm not going to mourn it either, if you know what I'm saying.
I feel sorry for the rank and file who got, you know, again. That's the thing. It's not like this writing. You know, multiple people had to approve that writing, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It was management who hired the horrible writers. I feel sorry for the coders. You know, the environmental artists. You know, everyone who does all the technical work are just getting absolutely destroyed by management and the types of writers they get in.
Yeah, it's a classic case of what's happened with the world of comics, which I know we will discuss in detail next week. In that the wrong people got inside it, and again, we'll get to that next week.
That's my caveat with all these layoffs. Is like I feel sorry for the groundwork rank and file people who have had no say in any of this. They just have to make the slop that they've been handed.
Yeah,
but I feel nothing. But in some degrees, contempt for those higher up who did all the writing, who did all the hiring, who are also getting like bum rushed out the door and like, you caused this, and by virtue of that, you've cost these other people their jobs because you've made them work on such horrendous things that should never have seen the light of day, let alone begun production.
What shits me is we keep seeing those sort of writers fail upwards. And that's the thing. That's the other thing. Is but people just need to. Okay. If you see those writers. I'm working on the next project. Just avoid it like the plague.
Yeah. So we're going to come to a familiar topic now on this stream. It's one we've spoken of in the past, but it kind of fell away for a while. But well, this year it's making a return for a bloody good reason. And that is, of course, crowdfunded games. So, if anybody ever wonders why I do not back crowdfunded games, reasons like this are why. So, this game, Alzara Radiant Echoes, which is supposed to be a tribute to JRPGs or whatever, of €100,000 goal, it took almost 300,000. But then the studio announced its closure in June, claiming they'd had half the funding required and unable to find a partner to help with the rest. This has resulted in multiple job losses in the studio. I believe the figure I saw yesterday, 20,000 workers have lost their jobs.
That was the first problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that's.
Yeah, so I'll finish my rant by saying this, and Wombat, I know you want to rip into this, so please do. But I just have to sit there, and maybe I'm just looking at this from a simplistic point of view, but where the fuck did the money go?
Well, my counter argument to we've got this big ass studio, blah 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 blah. My counter argument to this is Silk Song. That is done by 7 people.
Yes.
Right. So again, this is studio being run badly. Right. So sorry, how many staff did that studio have?
20,000.
No, I'm like, no. How the hell is that studio that big? No, I can't. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I call that bullshit because even I call bullshit
like EA level size. I'm like, no, get bed. You are not that big.
Not even AAA. Even in AAA's, they'll have maybe 400 people to 500 working like big. If they're going really bloated, 500 working on a single game, not 20,000. So I call bullshit.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, then bad management, bad project management. This just to me smacks of it. Like, no, I'm sorry, guys. I think you were trying to get this thing as a Hail Mary to bail out your studio. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. If your studio is that big and bloated, again, going to job losses, sometimes you have to cut jobs, right? You have to get your studio down to the point where it's actually functional and, at least, profitable, even if it breaks even, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm calling bullshit on that number of staff because it's like, what are they all doing? Unless you're making like 10, 20, 30 games, what the fuck are you doing with 20,000 employees for a singular game studio?
Contractors, you know.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm at a loss on that one because, again, it's just where did the money go? It's bullshit.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I actually looked them up on LinkedIn. Oh, company size 11 to 50 employees. Right, so that announcement smacks of a sob song of, oh, feel bad for us. Look, all these people we put out. Like, no.
That's what I said.
This is
I call
manipulative
bullshit.
bullshit.
I call
So,
bullshit.
yeah,
They're scammers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hence why you don't back things on, like, you generally don't back anything for these games because it's a case of, unless they're a studio who's made at least one game before is provable, and they can prove they're a tiny studio, and they've actually got a proof of concept demo. Chances are it's basically a money laundering scam, pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, again, we see the likes of Silksong and the rest of it, which is technically flawless, visually striking, and it's done by seven Australians in bloody South Australia, right?
Yeah.
When they're not drinking wine and putting people in barrels, they're making it.
So, yeah, I mean, going back to this, I mean, the comments here, it says it. I love this bit here. You just saw that. Sorry, you missed out on this. I think I'll pass. Thanks. Requesting refund. Requesting refund. Requesting refund. Requesting refund again.
I love that one. This scumbag once said, "Gamble responsibly."
Yeah. And there's this guy, refund of €800. Why did you give them that much? Fucking hell.
Things like that as well. It's just like, no. If they're having options where they're going that fucking big, no.
Yeah. And this bit here, I'm not okay. There's no protection mechanism. So, yeah. And this my money is gone as well as yours. Yeah, he's right.
Hence why you don't back them, especially when they're asking for such big ass to begin with for their budgets.
Yeah.
If they don't have a known history, and even if it's their first game, it's like, okay, you have to work with diddly squat.
Yeah.
If you can't work with diddly squat, this game's never happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're just grifting for money.
Yeah. So again, I feel bad for the people that have lost their jobs over this, but again,
don't, because they don't exist. They said 20K. The 20K doesn't exist, so they're liars. So don't feel anything for these people because they're grifting liars. It's provable.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a lesson which has been shown before in the past. Be very careful what you back on.
It's been shown for a decade, over a decade now.
Yeah.
Beware of backing any of these things. Do your research, and if you can't research enough on them, just don't touch them. And if that's because there's been more games that have been scams and never produced versus actually produced through funding.
It's the old saying, don't gamble with anything you can't afford to lose.
Yep.
Well, it's the same it's the same with this. If you're going to back these things, just be aware that, you might not get anything for your money.
No. All right, so on to the final story, gaming related, that we can talk about for some of the releases. Stop killing games. So I'll read out what I've got written for the sort of brief introduction of this, and then you guys can have it away. So I get why this happened. Started by Ross Scott after the shutdown of Ubisoft's The Crew, which was, for those who don't know, a mainly single-player game that required a constant internet connection, which in itself is bizarre. The game was closed down, the servers closed down, and the digital licenses were pulled from gamers' accounts, effectively killing the game completely. The movement was dead as a dodo for a little while, but then it got a serious boost when streamer Jason Hall criticized the movement, claiming its intents were disingenuous, amongst other things. So this resulted in a number of YouTube personalities joining the movement and criticizing Hall, who ended up getting a load of abuse for his views. Um,
Hang on, is this buddy? What's his face? Pirate.
It's Pirate Software. That's his
Yeah.
actual
Yeah. Oh
name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then yes, the nepo baby. Yeah. I have opinions.
yeah. All right. So, I get why. Like I said, I get why they did this because there are some games out there that are killed off unfairly, which is fair to say, but there are those which I'm afraid I don't have any sympathy for at the same time. But if I'm going to pay a large amount of money for a game, I expect it to stay playable because only a few people, as far as I'm aware, got refunds for the likes of The Crew. I mean, to be quite honest with you, one solution is not to buy an Ubisoft game, but what do I know? Okay, guys, what do you think on this?
Okay, so people need to understand what has happened, right? So back when gaming, back in the before times, kids.
In the before times.
Yeah, when you bought games on, actual DVDs or Blu-rays, right?
I mean, discs, not
yeah,
DVDs and Blu-rays or movie stuff. I mean, just
but
discs.
you know what? Yeah, on actual physical media, right? You were buying a product, right? The problem is that since they've moved to games as a service (TM), what also happened in the back end is they changed the way it works. So instead of buying a physical product, what you are now buying is a software license, right? And the problem with software licensing is that it's just like, this is for any software. This is not just games. You run into this in any commercial software, is that you're buying a license to use it, right? The problem is that all right, buying is the wrong word. You are essentially leasing a license to use it, and it is entirely the discretion of the software manufacturer as to whether that is a permanent license or whether it is for a period of time or whatever else. You do not own the software, right? This is what people need to fundamentally understand, right? For you to own that product, you would need to own the source code and everything else to go with it. So no, you are buying a license to use it under a set of terms and conditions that no one reads, right? That's what, that EULA, when you fire up a new game, you will have an EULA, enterprise user, licensing agreement, EULA, and you will not read it and you will just go agree. When you click agree, you are agreeing to the fact that yes, they're giving you a license to use the software that they can revoke when they bloody well feel like it. This is I get where they're coming from with the whole, hey, we spent money on the thing, we want to be able to use the thing, right? But to play devil's advocate, right? So what essentially they were asking for is like, hey, we have to support all software on all platforms till the heat death of the universe, right? That is not possible, right? Companies are not going to maintain maintenance coders to keep this stuff running every time the console generation, because what Stop Killing Games is essentially saying, hey, when the console generation changes, you have to have backwards compatibility for all these games, right? And so on and so forth. So, if you're a studio who ends up with a large roster of game releases, you'll just get killed by technical debt, right? Hey, we have to spend more and more money and more staff on maintaining these older and older games, right? So, but at the same time, I get it from the consumer point of view, in that, hey, we're buying a game, it lasts for maybe 2 years, and then they, especially if it's a single player game, a single player game does not need always on online connectivity.
No,
that is horse shit, and that should stop, right?
That's what the catch is. He's advocating for that, but also advocating for the basis of single player games should not need always online, and for ones that have some multiplayer or something to them, allow like players or whatever else, if they want to put the effort in to make set up their own servers and keep it plunking along, or just let it die.
Yeah, the problem is though, you're then getting into intellectual property law.
The game studios can step off and go, we're not supporting it anymore. That's fine.
Yeah, but again, that's the problem, is you're then getting into intellectual property problems, right?
Yeah, he understands that, but his main thing he's been pursuing is there should be no such thing as always online for a single player game that gets murked as soon as that support goes away. If it's like, that's what his point is, because like that particular game, this case of, yes, there was a heart, like that game, it was old enough that it was on, like it was available to purchase on Steam or whatever on consoles, but also had a physical CD.
because he was also arguing.
CD was murked because of that always online. So even if you had the physical copy and put it in, it still wouldn't work because of that always online bullshit.
Yeah, and he was also asking that games be left in a playable state when the servers are shut down and so forth, which again, I understand.
I get, and I understand that as well. And this is the thing, I don't disagree with the fundamental, spirit behind it.
Yeah.
It just, unfortunately, from the business point of view, that I can see there's all sorts of annoying, boring intellectual property and other issues that prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, again, so many companies are being absolutely predatory with it.
Yeah.
So he's more like, he's not trying to override everything, and that's he's just making people aware, and he's just like, he's being realistic in that case of, this can't all happen that way, IPs, really, whatnot. He said, but I'm just more advocating for, okay, you've dumped the IP is dead, it is like decades dead. Don't just randomly stop our access to it because we've already purchased it, especially stuff that's got a physical component that, hang on. Hang on.
I'm wondering what's going on now.
Your headset's fallen off.
So, to add some more meat to these bones, Alana Pierce interviewed 20 anonymous game developers who admitted they supported the movement, opining it might challenge current video game conservation efforts. There we go. I can talk. Then, of course, the Ubisoft CEO, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, eventually responded.
No, I can pronounce his name for you. French twat.
Okay, so carrying on, the Ubisoft CEO, whose name I'm not going to pronounce,
French twat, go on,
responded to the movement, saying the company provides, and I quote, information regarding the game and how long it can be played for, and that the company is doing their best to make sure things go well for all the players and buyers. But he clarified that support for all games cannot last forever. This response was not received very well. So, anything to add to that?
Le French twat has spoken. No, again, fuck off, God. Ubisoft. No. Again, we provide, we provide transparency as to how long. Get fucked.
Yeah,
you do not. Again, we've seen this so often. If game releases and it absolutely sharts the bed, they will pull that bloody server support as quick as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Right. So no, get bent.
It also, again, I'm going to sort of say what I think here, and I'll go just outside of Ubisoft. Be careful what you buy.
Yeah, and this is the problem. I said before my microphone cut out my headset. The reason that the European Parliament and a lot of governments weren't, exactly chomping at the bit to look at this is the amount of intellectual property law change that would have to happen, and the second order effects.
I'm wondering what's going on with your headsets over there, guys. Peter's has fallen off. Yours is running out of steam.
I had to just give the hamster another shot of caffeine.
But his whole drive was make awareness of this bullshit happening, particularly for those who own a physical copy of the game but still can't play it because of this online bullshit. He's just like, no, if I've bought the physical copy, it is mine. I should be able to put it in this. And if I say, even if it's a console that's like completely outdated, say like a PlayStation 3.
Yeah,
I should be able to put that disc in that PlayStation 3 with no internet connectivity and play.
Yeah,
and the problem is though this is a fundamental misunderstanding, right? It's like even when you buy a physical disc, you are not buying the product; you are buying a license to use the product.
Yeah,
well, so it's been that way for a long time. It's just people didn't notice, right? So that is the fundamental problem. Is no, you're not buying a product, you're buying a license to use the product. And like all software licensing, the software manufacturer can go, we're not supporting that anymore.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. Do you remember the days of the on-disc DLC, which you were paying to unlock? It reminds me
that was the beginning of it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Street Fighter, I think it was Street Fighter X Tekken, I think it was, where they had the 23 additional characters on the disc. And Mega Man was one of them, but it was locked only to PlayStation, and Xbox users could only access it by hacking the disc. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's a fundamental change. As soon as always on internet connectivity became a thing, again they quietly changed the way it worked.
Yeah.
Right, and this is why it's boring as it is. It comes down to intellectual property and software licensing, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I've bought a disc with the game on it. I own the game. No, you don't. You own a license to it. To own the game, you have to own the source code and all the other stuff. Even if the game's abandonware, companies are not going to release that out into the wild, right? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they open source them, but generally no. And and this goes to the emulation community as well, going, oh, well, fine. If it's a lot of this software is dubbed abandonware, right? So we'll just create emulators and to do it. But the problem is, it's the intellectual property law, and you can blame the bloody Americans for this. It's a fundamental tenet of intellectual property law is, defend it or lose it, right? So if you let people play with your trademarks and play with your intellectual property and you don't defend it, then the courts can go, if eventually you go, someone comes up with something, I'll give you as an example, you'll not enforce your intellectual property law. Someone comes up with an absolute, people use it and, you turn a blind eye to the, modding community or whatever else. Then someone uses it to come up with an absolute banger, right? That makes a shitload of money. And then your lawyers go, oh, we have to defend our IP. It will then go to the court and the court will go, well, no, you haven't been defending it. You let it lapse. Other people have done all this, rada, because this goes to this Nintendo lawsuit with Pocket Pair.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you actively defend it, no, you've abandoned it. Therefore, it becomes public. It what they call genericized. Right. So by default, companies have to defend their IP. If people are messing with their IP, they have to defend it. Otherwise, they will lose it. So that's the root cause of this problem.
Okay. So, are we ready to discuss some of the gaming releases in the later half of the year?
Yeah, I say with fear and trepidation, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one to discuss, and I know that there's going to be some good comments on this one, is a game that upon release apparently crashed Steam, the Nintendo eShop, the Microsoft Store, and the PlayStation Store, which is
mother of all Australian shitposts.
Yeah. And that is, of course, Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, the game was released 2 weeks after its date was announced. Several indie devs delayed their games releases, and apparently several game publications got the arse because they weren't given review codes. This, to me, is, even though I'm not PC, was funny as fuck because of the absolute, I don't know what you call it, whinging, pants pissing of these people that were either kept in the dark or just completely outdone by this game, which you say was made by 7 people.
Yep, it's a studio of Team Cherry is a studio of 7 people down in South Australia, the home of whining serial killers.
It's 3 primary people and the other people they brought on just to help bump along finalizing it and finishing the game.
And I don't know what its sales figures were, but in the first 3 days of release, on 5 million players it had, and 3 million of them were on Steam alone. Guys, well done. I mean, it's also a very nicely priced game, and a bundle of the 2 games from this company, Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silksong, is currently $21.39. Yeah, well played. I cheer on their success.
Yeah, and the thing is,
worked on it as a basis of we will get it done when it's done. We don't need we don't need to basically go squealing for backing and whatnot. We will basically work on a basis of as we can afford it. But to be fair, the first one was such a success, they've just basically gone, yeah, we'll pick it out as we want because we want to make sure we do it right off the bat. Yep. So if it takes 10 years, then it takes 10 years to make sure it's polished and cleaned and everything is cohesive and just works day one.
Because originally it was supposed to be a DLC for the original Hollow Knight, but it ended up just growing, getting legs of its own. And they went, no, hang on, this has gone from DLC to a game of its own.
Yeah.
Now, I want to more focus on the whinging and crying from the usual suspects.
Oh
right?
God, yeah, go for it.
Because one, hey, you don't need marketing for this, right? If you've got a good game, they basically, no one knew this was coming.
No,
Right?
I loved it.
These guys just basically, dropped out of the ether, flopped their dick on the table, and went, behold my my massive growth, right? And everyone went, oh shit, and so these guys didn't need marketing.
Nope.
They didn't need the usual suspects in the the games journalist community. That's why all the games journalist community were whining.
It's
like, yes, you're irrelevant. Hey guys, look, these guys have had a massively successful game. They don't need you. They don't need the big marketing stuff. They just need a game that is, well done, well designed, and works, right? And so they've just dropped it out there, and so it's broadsided everyone, and you can just hear the fear and loathing from the usual suspects of like, oh shit, we're irrelevant, right?
And I cheer them on for that, because if you can sell your game but not even bothering to give media copies to those websites, well done. Well done.
Well, to be frank, the most successful indie games, they just hit the ground running. They just hit the ground and worked on the basis of, here's my game, please enjoy it and tell me if I've done right or not. And it's like in Stardew Valley, that just sort of hit. Because it was one guy doing the whole thing, so he had nothing for budget for advertising or anything. He's basically put word of mouth out there. It's like, I'm trying my first game. It's going to release on date. Give it a try and let me know if it works. And now he's a multimillionaire.
And fair play to him.
Yeah, and again, this is the difference between indie and quotes indie, right? So again, you get actual legitimate independent games makers who make really good games.
Yeah.
And then you get the hipster indie crowd who are, go along with the games journalist sort of thing, and they're that incestuous lot. Use that to and then complain when no one buys their game. Like, because your game's shit. Right? Sorry, but and again, this is the thing. Good, well designed, beautiful games will sell. The community will buy them and love them. So much of the quote unquote indie game, the hipster garbage scene, is just fake and awful. And you get the whole, we're going to blame the community for not buying our game. I was like, because your game's shit.
Again, Dustborn. Dustborn was exactly the perfect encapsulated example of that.
Yeah.
All the support in the world, all the government support, all the journalist support, back patting and fluffing in that, and it just only one ever speaks of it is like, remember that thing? What thing? The really bad songs. I was like, what was that? Like Dustborn. Oh, that thing. When was that again?
So on to the next one, which became known for a different set of reasons. Borderlands 4. So the game landed and had an okay reception, but as you can see here, it's very mixed from those who have played it. It was the biggest launch of the franchise. According to some of the figures I have, it has shifted 1.3 million units on Steam alone, which outsold Borderlands 3 by 30%. But that wasn't what got it attention. So, as usual, not to be outdone, Randy Pitchford decided to piss people off ahead of time. And concerns were raised with him about the graphical requirements, I believe, and also the $80 price tag of the game. And
all the way up to $300 bloody dollars.
Yeah, and this was his response when someone rose this with him. I will read this out for anyone listening. So some guy says, Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. Randy responded, A, not my call, and B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Yeah, okay, mate.
As much as I hate agreeing with Randy Pitchford, unfortunately, it's not up to him. It's up to 2K.
Yeah.
Right, Randy's again. It's the publisher, which is 2K, that decides that.
Which is very poorly. It's extremely poor in communicating that, because it's like he should have said, "It's not my call. It's the higher ups at 2K who set the price," and then he puts his both feet in it and then some by basically making the comparisons like, "Oh, but Sega Genesis games in 1991 were like $80," and like, yeah, but I owned a physical cartridge and a physical game, Pitchford.
Yeah, again, no.
And though back then they had to factor in the cost of producing the chips and everything to make that cartridge, or all the work that goes into print the CDs, and then the packaging and all the stuff that goes with the packaging, and then the actual production and sending out to be sold in stores. So there was extra factors of why the costs were what they were. You don't have any of that now.
You've got the whole point. Back when the, digital distribution was a thing, it was always the prices will come down, like because we don't have to do physical media, etc. I'm like, well, that was that was a lie. Just absorb that and like now give us more profit. Again, it's just
but I've
also
not heard
the excuse of games cost. Oh, they cost so much more to make these days, and no, they don't.
No, they don't.
You're just basically bloating your studios out to 500 people, and thus you got 500 people to pay. And look at the final product despite that 500 people.
But as has happened with a lot of games that released this year, it just disappeared from all discussion after a dull thud of a landing.
Because it was very mid. It's like even just listening to someone's thing recently where they were going over a current game, but also going back to some stuff like that. And they said they were a huge Borderlands fan. And they did buy it. And they found that after a few sections, they're like, this is very samey, very boring, with just a lot of palette swap going on. I'm not seeing anything that's really grabbing my attention to want to finish this.
Yeah.
Because the characters are even like the quippy stuff that used to be the quirk of the thing is now it's all just quirk, always the quirk with the quirk with the quip with the quirk. Like you're boring and actually irritating me now.
Yeah.
Because you used to have a balance of the quirk and the quirkiness and the quips in between all the action, all the violence and whatnot. Now it's just, can you just stop for like breathe for 5 seconds? It doesn't have to be every single thing, every single sound, every single word, all this quirk and quip.
All right, so on to the next one. Now this one made me scratch my head. I'm a Silent Hill fan. I've loved the original games in the series, not so much the later ones. And this one is, I'm calling it Silent Hill in name only because it's not set in Silent Hill. It's not even in the same country, nor in the same time period. I give it its dues, but it did sell 1 million copies on the first day of release, making it the fastest selling game in the series. But I purely think that's down to the fact that it's a Silent Hill game and everyone was hard for it. And B, it does actually look pretty nice, especially when the trademark fog sets in. But I can't help but sort of think, it's a Silent Hill game in name only.
Well, I would argue it's a Silent Hill game for the Japanese market.
But it's not set in Silent Hill.
Even then, people have played it who have been Silent Hill fans and basically going, it's a good game, but it's not Silent Hill. And quite a few is like, I've played it through, I enjoyed it, but I've got no drive to play again to find all the mystery stuff and whatnot's usually associated with such games.
Yeah.
Or trial different method, like different paths and whatnot. It's like, it's a good game in and of itself. It's just, once you've played it, and you're like, moving on now.
Yeah. I mean, I will give it its dues. There are 5 different endings to the game, and if anyone's wondering, yes, there is a UFO themed one. But again, story wise, I'm afraid I just don't get it. Maybe I'm being closed minded, I don't know. But
well, the thing is also, I think it's probably a game that, again, you've grown up with Silent Hill games where this is a lot of people who've never played the other ones. They're like, oh, horror game, right?
Yeah, it's people.
They know that the brand, right? Silent Hill is horror game, so Silent Hill is more of a brand now, right?
But yeah, people have played it. It's a good game, but it's not really Silent Hill. it's a good game in itself, but also those who went in it with the whole, a new Silent Hill game, like, yeah, I've played it through. It was good. I'm not going to bother going through again to get the different endings in that because that's not what I was hoping for.
No, and
As far as like a Silent Hill game goes.
I can't help but, when I see that it's called Silent Hill F, I automatically think press F to pay respects. But maybe that's just because I've been on the internet way too fucking long.
Yeah, so the general consensus seems to be, if you take away, like, if you remove the whole Silent Hill of the title, like, it's a good horror game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a Silent Hill game.
Yeah. All right, so on to the next one. And we're going to have a bit of fun with this, I believe. Where's the bloody link? Here we are. Yeah. So, I will state my position on this to start with. When I found out the sequel of this game, which was the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, was going to go on with a different main character, I thought, nah, I'm out, thanks, because I really got invested in the original main character, and I wanted to see his story continued in the sequel. Why they did
everyone else.
Yeah, why they decided to go this route, I'm confused by.
Because the first one was successful, and they can't have that the fact these workers were involved in it being a success. So now it's a success. They must force their way in, smear their shit-covered paws all over it, and make it theirs.
I'm getting to that. So the game did sell 3.3 million copies by November. For those interested, Tsushima has sold over 13 million copies. But that was not what got people talking. So a developer working with the company, Drew Harrison, posted a joke on Blue Sky after the Charlie Kirk assassination, which read like this. I hope the shooter's name is Mario so that Luigi knows his bro god is back. If you're going to joke about the murder of a man who was shot in front of his family purely for having debates, then honestly, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay, there's also other contributing factors as well.
I'll get to that in a second. So obviously fans of Kirk and those who had enough of this shit contacted the company, and the next day Drew claimed she was being harassed, and she later reported that she was no longer employed by the company after threats of boycotting the game on the YouTube trailer, along with people writing "Rip Charlie Kirk." It's debatable how successful this boycott is, given the game has sold a few million copies, but obviously not as much as the first one. But again, my stance with it was that I was never going to play this because it's a different main character, and I just weren't interested in this one.
Okay, so even prior to the Charlie Kirk thing, no one was interested because of the mocap actor
and voice actress,
and was again. Shaved head woke activist.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It was just the whole, and all this. It's just like everyone just like, oh yeah, okay, you've let that crowd in. Again, oh look, it's a strong girl boss woman, who don't need no man. Oh, this is they're trying to do Ghost of Tsushima but with lesbians, and everyone's just like, no, we've no interest in this. Okay, thanks, bye. Right.
Yeah. And just as soon as they showed the first looks of her, it's a case of you can't even make her just average looking.
Yeah,
if you're gonna go the whole, she can't be gorgeous, and that's like, that's perfectly fine. Just have an average looking person, and they can't even do that.
Yeah, that's the one thing, because we've seen this trend a few times now where they have to uglify a woman, and I just I scratch my head at it because there was the trailer. Well, I'll finish on this. The trailer for that Naughty Dog game where it's these head shaven women. I just looked at it and thought, good luck with that, guys, and I've just dismissed all interest in it.
So is everyone else.
The other thing is, again, this has become a running joke in the community of spot the trans art director, right? Because the problem is that a lot of these studios with who we want to do the diversity and work stuff, they will hire. You'll find that, hey, look, the art director or the senior artist, they're trans, right? And they're usually male to female trans. You're hiring someone with a perceptual processing disorder, right? They cannot do male female properly on a neurological level, and you're getting them to do character design. So this is why all these characters are coming out with man jaw, right? Oh, it's a woman. That's then again. That's a man's proportions. That's a man's facial structure, and this is why everyone's saying no. The characters are ugly. I'm like, yes, because you're making, you're making, women who, your brain on a fundamental chimp brain level is going, that's a man, right?
Yeah.
So this is the problem. It's just, and people are, the joke, people will run them through AI, or you'll have artists going, hey, I've tweaked the face to actually make them look feminine, right? Because you've done the jaw proportions wrong, you've done the hand proportions wrong, again, this is the thing, and I'm sure, honey, I'll let you rant at length on this because this is more your wheelhouse.
Oh yes.
But men and women are different on many, many, many physiological basic ways. Right, and this is the problem: is you're having a lot of these artists who, have this perception processing disorder, who are doing, and the multiple people going, yep, and then you've also got that attitude of, oh well, we can't have attractive female characters because guys might enjoy that, right? It's that whole we have to shit on the audience thing, right? And so you're getting. And the problem is that China and the rest of it going, oh no, guys like hot female characters. So you see these gacha games, which I dislike for a different reason, because they're essentially gambling and predatory, but they have really attractive female characters in them, and they're going gangbusters.
But it's also because in China, it's a case of man is man, woman is woman. So you have to have properly masculine, attractive man and popular feminine, attractive woman.
So, yeah. Another one who I guess kind of sowed their own seeds of destruction, and I have no sympathy for him.
No one does, because
the majority of those who made the original game are gone because they're either fired, badgered out, or just saw what was coming, tried to work through it, couldn't stand it, and just bailed on their own.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I have no sympathy for the companies at this point, because again, if you don't have pattern recognition of a basic sea sponge, and you keep doing this, you're just going to keep making flops. You're going to keep losing money, and eventually natural
keep
selection.
Closing the studios because the actual working talent keeps leaving, and it takes about 5 people to replace them. Thusly, the bloat keeps happening.
Yeah,
it's like you get bloated and more fatter and fatter and fatter on staff, but quality tanks because those who actually had the talent to set the rules, set the guidelines, and set the drive of everything are gone.
Yeah.
So everything's it's like 1,000 monkeys typing at a typewriter. Trying to do the job of one person who was actually specialized and talented enough that they could get most of that done and actually set the parameters. So even those who were juniors under them could just take their piece and work on it and just finish it. With the pro being the guideline. Now all those pros and those talented people have been driven out or just decided to go, fuck it, I'm done. That talent's never coming back, and the talent that appears at ground level gets smothered.
Yeah,
gets told no, you don't be innovative, you don't try to basically press outside the box, don't try to do better than what you're given, you do what you're given to the T, you don't think, you don't expand, you don't do nothing, and thusly that talent goes from, oh, I've got all these ideas and that I'm going to learn how to do this proper in the industry, and then I'm going to go from there to I'm burned out within 2 years, I'm done, I'm leaving. And I'll never grow any further. And whatever burgeoning talent I had, it's been snuffed, and I've just left.
So on to the next one, which was another game that landed with a dull thud, I should point out. The Outer Worlds 2. So this was in the news briefly because Microsoft was trying to sell this game for $80. But then after a load of backlash, they dropped it to $70. Woohoo. It's mainly positive reviews, as you can see here, but no one's talked about it since. It's barely gotten a peep in. Well, I haven't seen no YouTubers talk about it, in fact. And look at these prices. I mean, hey, isn't that fucking brilliant? Again, it was just, yeah.
We'll see a lot. a lot of people are really jonesing for a spiritual successor to Fallout, right? And especially Fallout New Vegas, where you had interesting, engaging characters, really good writing, really interesting stories, etc.
Really
The main
engaging
thing,
RPG elements.
yeah, again, so the main thing that lets Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2 down is the writing is just utterly, again, people going Obsidian, we want you to make the next Fallout New Vegas. Everyone's just like has such high hopes for Obsidian, but the problem is Obsidian just has absolute, again, either at best
Those who
woke
made it
writers,
are gone.
Yeah.
or hey, look, really just like literally looking at that trailer, that really ham-fisted, do the good thing, do the bad thing writing. It's just like it's just boring.
And see
There's
those
no
companions.
nuance, no
Look
gray
how
area.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
see all the faces of those companions. Look how bored they all look. Look how bland they all look. Look,
Yeah.
even the character models themselves is like, even when they're showing them, they've got dead faces. They've got nothing showing any personality in their faces
Mm-hmm.
or in their poses or nothing like that.
But also, I mean, people could forgive that if the story was interesting. It's not. It's
Mm.
just like, and the thing is, while they're not doing the whole woke rainbow hair thing, the problem is that they're limited by what what subjects and the rest
And
of
look
it.
at that bland face.
Yeah,
Look at those
but
bland faces.
But the point is also in terms of the writing. We don't want to offend anyone. All right, so you end up with just the most bland, milquetoast, boring writing
Mm-hmm.
because they're absolutely terrified of getting quote unquote cancelled.
Mm.
So they
To the
just
point that they
play it
won't
safe.
even-
So I'm like,
Yeah, it's so bad that in this one you can't even romance any of the companions because can't accidentally offend anyone if a character they want's like not gay or straight or bi or whatever.
So yeah, another one that landed with a dull thud.
Well, to be fair, the first one kind of did as well.
Yes.
Once people got into it and played it through, it's just like, wow, this is so on rails. This is like, yes, it's good RPG elements and whatnot, and okay companions, and some of the story stuff is funny and fun, but it's so locked onto rails that the immersion just dies. And that one was less on rails and better RPG elements.
Yeah.
But story was duller. Companions were basically wooden blocks. And as you can see in all those shots, bland faces.
Yeah.
Nothing that was basically given a hint. The bland faces and posing that, nothing given a hint to what the kind of person they might be, because they had nothing.
Yeah. All right. So on to one which annoys me on a number of reasons, which I'm about to get into. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
all those quippy, side characters that you're not allowed to shoot in the face.
Right. So some of the best gaming memories I have were on my Nintendo GameCube, arguably one of their best consoles. And games like Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes were some of my favorite games on that console. And it can be argued that Metroid Prime 1 is one of the best games ever made, legendary games ever made. And they were so much fun to do, completionist wise, story wise, and the pair of them had some epic boss battles, which I don't think had been beaten. But again, that's just my opinion. So after 10 years in development, 4 has come out, and it's got quite a lot of criticisms, as one match just said. Annoying as fuck side characters through some very cringy writing. And for those who don't know, in Prime 1 and 2, your interaction with the side characters in that game was very minimal, because the emphasis on these games was, Samus is on her own doing this stuff.
The whole point is a case of she's a one-man army. She's entirely on her own with no real support aside from the occasional people that might people and aliens and that she encounters that can give her a bit of a boost or a bit of a guidance. But other than that, she is pretty much spending 99% of the game alone.
So annoying side characters, cringy writing, which we'll get to in a second. A lot of criticism has been leveled at the large desert area in between zones, which has been seen as padding to pad out the runtime of the game, which, for those wondering, is about 10 hours, I think.
Up
Which
to
is
20 if you really want to get everything.
Yeah. It even comes with escort missions, which were not in the other ones. And also the very critical use of amiibos, which we'll get into shortly. But, some wonderful individual shared me a couple of bits to talk about, in particular highlighting who one of the writers is. And for those wondering, here we go. So that's the profile of one.
Notice Genlock. Who remembers Genlock? Nobody.
Yeah. And posting memes such as this.
She's also been pushing the whole. She's also been pushing the whole. Oh no, Samus is trans. You have to make it canon that Samus is trans. Like, no, Samus has always been a woman.
With a profile pic of this. Yeah. Okay. Great. And then to highlight the irritating writing of the side characters, I've got a video to play. I'm going to cringe playing this, but, well, is it on? Yeah, it's on. Right, here we go for the listening audience. This is the introduction of a character who realizes it's Samus Aran and goes all fangirl.
Sarge!
Armstrong, you all right?
I'm good. You?
Yes.
While I was waiting, I was studying this hologram. I just... Wow. Samus? It's really you. I don't even know what to say. Is this a new suit? It's amazing. I love it. I love it so
Private.
much. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's the sort of writing we've got. There's been main criticism around one of the other characters. I haven't got a video here to show you, but it's someone who's even more annoying than that. So I really don't want to play that. But regarding the amiibos, well, you need to buy one in order to unlock the soundtrack to play on
in the desert.
In the desert when you're riding your bike, because otherwise the desert is just sound all over again. And these are the amiibos as they are on Amazon, and have a look at the price of them. Now, I believe it's this one here you've got to buy to unlock the soundtrack. And by the way, for those wondering, you can't unlock the soundtrack unless you have beaten the game that's it. You have completed 100% scans, which is end game stuff.
There's people going, "Oh, you're just blowing it out of proportion. It's in game. You can earn it in game." Yeah, but you have to practically complete the game to get it, and by which point, why would you want to play again?
Yeah. So I'm disappointed. Again, because I was a massive fan of the first two Prime games. Prime 3 was a bit meh, but to see this happen with it, yeah, I'm so disappointed.
As I showed you, it's 10 years and 21 different dev studios for this one finally, like, that did another previous Prime game, finally settled on it and finished it.
So, yeah, again, I'm just so disappointed. But
you and every other true Metroid fan.
Yeah. But we can end it on a more positive note with the final game to discuss this year. And that is, of course, Arc Raiders. Now, stop me if this sounds familiar. The devs who formed the company after leaving DICE because they got sick of a lack of creative control, have made this extraction shooter, which has sold over 4 million copies. It's one of the devs involved is Patrick Soderlund. Either of you remember him?
Vague. The name rings a bell. Yeah.
He was the chap who, when addressing the criticisms of historical revisionism in Battlefield 5, said, "If you don't like it, don't buy the game." and he had to leave shortly afterwards. Looks like he's found his feet again with this, because from what reviews I've seen of it, it is a damn good game. People have criticized the pricing of the game, which is here. I'm tempted to be a bit lenient on this because it's an independent company, if you want to call it that, and
they are. They're a new studio.
yeah. So, and £30 or £31, I don't think it's that bad compared
That's
to some of the other.
$60-something edition. Again, these days that's reasonable.
Yeah,
right? Again,
I have no issues with that.
I give it a pass because that's all inclusive. There's no like in-game paid shit.
Well, there is
Like,
microtransactions.
anything you want, you can earn in-game. There's none of that paid pass shit.
Well, it has received its criticisms though because of the price of some of the in-game microtransactions, which I will.
Yeah, you can. That's fluff you can do, but it doesn't affect your actual game.
No. For example,
and it's more cosmetic fluff.
This Bogwalker skin pack here, which is at 2,400 whatever is in-game currency, and that's basically about just shy of $25.
Yeah, but the point is that is a cosmetic. It does.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right? I as much as I dislike Pirate Software, he was right about the whole DLC, the in-game transaction stuff. As long as it doesn't give a player an inherent advantage and it's just a cosmetic, there's no, people are not free to not buy it. It doesn't affect the gameplay.
No. But it is a massive success, as I've said. It has sold, where is it? Over 4 million copies. And even in videos I've seen of the community interactions in the game, because usually you online, in particular Xbox, there's a lot of shit talking among players, but all the clips I've seen, they're working together for a common goal, especially when they fight the humongous fucking machines that are roaming the lands.
And this is good
player plus NPC robots that are out to get everyone.
Yeah,
but it's good game design in that. Yeah, it's PvP, but there's also PvE, and the thing is, players, the PvE, including those robots, and the fact that those things have AI learning, it's one of the good uses of AI stuff. That the bots will learn, right? It incentivizes the players not to shoot each other and actually go, no, we have a bigger threat. Let's focus on that and work together. So it's good in that it naturally forces people to work together. Right, it doesn't sort of squish them together and say, hey, you two get on. It naturally just makes people work together. Because if you don't, you just get yeeted by the hey, we're gonna fight, which gets the attention of the robots, and then you all die. Right?
Yeah, it basically stops these dipshits who go in there going full bore power. It's like, I'm gonna fuck up everyone else's game just to be a ratchet, like little asshole ratchet because I want to be top winner. It stops that from happening. It goes, sure, you can go guns a-blazing, steal from, like, fuck everyone over, steal all their gear when you put them down and whatnot. But all that racket also gets the attention of all the AI robots, which won't distinguish between you and anybody else. They're all just out to get everyone who's playing.
Yeah.
So the more racket you make, the more of them start piling in, and the more racket you make and the more fuss carry on, the bigger ones get the attention of the bigger ones that just come in and just wipe the floor with everybody, so no one wins. So it stops that ridiculous problem we've had in past games of you get these idiots who basically specialize in a certain character or something and just go, I gotta win, fuck everyone else, I gotta win.
Well, the other thing is, again, I like the use of AI in this because it solves the game balance problem, right? Because, again, you have games like Helldivers 2, where there was a period where the devs were constantly tweaking the game balance stuff, and it annoyed the shit out of the player base because they'd buff things, they'd debuff things, they'd play with that balance. But the thing is now, the fact that they're using actual AI learning for the bots in this and means that the players and the bots are now in a constant meta, right? The devs don't need to be tweaking stuff. They might tweak it on the edges a bit, but the players are going to start using certain tactics. The bots learn, so the players are now forced to develop new tactics to counter the bots, which, and again, it's that loop of, well, we have new tactics. The bots learned, we have new tactics, right? So it's going to keep the players engaged like that.
And it's also quite funny watching people freak out because the way the bots move, the devs used a kind of old now that's used by a lot of a learning algorithm that was developed years ago as a method of learning how certain dinosaurs and that may have walked, by basically giving it an armature saying it's like, these things got 2 legs, a chest. We're not going to bother with arms or anything because they're not really a factor in it, and a head at such a height. Plonk it in, like walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just repeat cycle after cycle after cycle, figuring out how to lift the legs, how to move, how to balance to make this thing walk and eventually run. So it helped them go, okay, this gives us some ideas of these dinosaurs of various proportions, roughly how fast they might have been, how maneuverable, by allowing this thing just basically go, I'm just going to go like evolution does, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, like a toddler, until I'm working. They've taken that, which of course has evolved since, made their models and things and go, okay, this is our base idea of what we want this thing to look like with limbs and whatnot. Give the plonk the algorithm in. It's like, make this thing move and move as like efficiently as possible. And one of them they call, and that is named them after how they ended up settling into moving. And one of them they call hoppers,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you see in the trailer, it's like it's a big eye thing with 4 limbs.
Yeah.
And they put a jetpack on it because they realized, oh, it can move pretty fast, but it has trouble getting up a high terrain to get at players. So we'll give it a little jetpack boost that's got a limited power on it to allow it to climb, or the hop a bit higher to be able to get over large terrain. And the AI took that and gone, why would I bother walking when I can fling myself at my target with the jetpack? So thusly people hear a noise and see this eyeball thing with flailing limbs just rocketing in the air and just coming at them, just throwing itself at them. It's like, why would I run after them when I could just rocket up and throw myself at them? So hence it's called a hopper.
So, yeah, I'm pleased for them, and I hope their success continues. So, yeah, it's nice to end the stream on a positive note with that stuff like that.
Well, there's been a few that flew under the radar. This one, I mean, there's Expedition 33, which
We've
is
talked about it before, yeah.
They were doing well. So again, there's the kind of the silver lining of all these AAA studios going to shit is all the good people who know their worth and people who are actually good at their job will leave those studios and go on to do better things, right? So
also prove that you can do these better things without bloated staff numbers and without bloated budgets.
Yeah.
Because this is the innovation that's missing now in gaming. Same with movies. It's like once upon a time, you didn't have a whole lot of money to work with, so you had to really, really work hard with the pittance you had and all the talent you had, and just get crazy and get weird and innovative to make shit work. Now it's a case of, well, we've got all these algorithms, we've got all these like preset stuff and that, so we'll just bloat it out basically with monkeys, use what we already have, and innovation, oh no, what?
No, we just use Unreal Engine 5. Right? That's the whole, no, we just use Unreal Engine 5 and we won't actually tweak it. Right.
Yeah, and hence why these people are leaving now, developing their own studios and continuing on with that. Well, I've got all this base knowledge, but I've got this new technology. I got this technology I've got to work with. We don't have a big budget to fluff with, so get the brain cells cranking and get back into whole. How can we make our lives a little bit easier by working with what we have and using our big brains and all our talent and all our collective knowledge to make this work as best we can with what little we have to work with.
Well, we had an example of that this week where, again, the developers of Helldivers 2, someone pointed out, hey, by the way, you've got a fundamental assumption in your Unreal Engine that is incorrect. If you actually tweak it, the way that things work as opposed to the way that hard disk manufacturers tell you that they used to work, you can get your install, your update package down from 30 gig to 2, right? So again, there's with the Unreal stuff, there's when people actually have the technical nous and have the time and the bandwidth to actually dig into it, they can do a lot of optimizations. There's been a few things like that with games that came out. Oh, Borderlands 4 was another example, right? Where it was so badly optimized. And then you had people go into the actual, engine config and went, hey, you idiots didn't actually tweak your memory cache. And when they actually went in, tweaked the memory cache. Oh, look, the game actually doesn't run like shit anymore because you
That's
idiots
another
forgot
thing.
to update the base settings, right? You're just running standard Unreal Engine settings, and your game runs like hot, like fucking hot ass. Hey, fix these, basic fundamental configs, and the game will actually run properly.
That's another thing as well with these AAAs. Is like they're having employee bloat, but they're also having game bloat because, again, they've driven out the talent who will sit there and go, how can we basically clean this up and neaten it up to make sure that the base game is as tightly packed as possible to minimize those problems with bloat and basically drag on CPUs and RAM and everything else, where we've, like, in the past, that used to be a thing they were really picky about, is like, make it efficient as possible. Make sure that it can work on every single platform there is as best as it can. Now it's the case of game's finished, shove it out. Oh, but we haven't optimized to make sure it can run cleanly and not stutter and stagger if someone's not running a like high-end PC or even a consoles. That we have to basically, they'll go as far as, well, yeah, it's a bit bloated. The console can't really run it, so just drop the FPS. That'll fix it. Instead of going, maybe just spend a little bit of time just like, okay, so where's the bloat happening there and there and there? Okay, neaten that up, and it can run at full power on the consoles as well as PC.
Or people, again, Unreal Engine isn't exactly new, so get some people with some actual technical expertise to go through and say, right, how can we optimize this on a technical level? Because again, this is going to be the other thing, as with economic conditions being as they are, people, and with hardware prices now going to be, I imagine, high, now we're getting screwed on graphics cards and RAM. People aren't going to be updating as often. So, hey, games manufacturers, you're going to have, people's PC specs and are going to stagnate. So you're going to have to optimize better. And, you're going to have, Microsoft and the rest of it going, you know what, we're not going to be updating our hardware specs anytime soon because, we'll keep them as they are because we don't want to wear the new costs. So hopefully there's going to be this period of, studios actually learning and going, right, we're going to optimize our games to run on as many hardware, as many hardware variations as possible. Right.
All right. So we'll finish off with a minor discussion for this stream. And this one's purely from a personal perspective, of which I'm going to kind of do a bit of a spin on an old meme here. But me this year, I finished with console gaming. I've been doing it for a long time now. My PS5 is gone. I happily retro game at the moment. I have a modded Sega Saturn and a modded PS2, and I have a Raspberry Pi with a shit ton of games on it, and I'm happy. At the moment, starting in the new year, I'm going to be saving up for one of these, most preferably the 1 terabyte model, because I'm just moving into that phase now of wanting to just handheld game comfortably while I'm having a lie down for the evening. But given my frame of mind on some of these big releases, there's part of me that's thinking, well, am I even going to bother coming back when I eventually have the money for this thing? So at the moment, I don't know. But as the meme goes, change my mind.
Well, again, it's going to be, you shouldn't buy it for the sake of buying it. But if you want to sit on the couch and play the Steam Deck, I mean, again, the Steam Deck's the best option because you've got a library of a ridiculous number of games that are well supported. That are, Steam does really good emulation. And so, again, if you're going to get a decent amount of time sitting there on the couch playing it, go for it, right?
Because also I've noticed that I'm getting pulled a lot more towards the smaller game releases than I am bigger ones, because I just look at it and think, first of all, that's overpriced. Whereas I look at a lot of the indie releases on Steam and they're starting to appeal to me more. And when a game is announced on Steam, because I have the app on my phone still, the first thing I look for is a case of Hollow Knight is to see if this part is here. And if it's verified or at least playable, I'll add it to my wish list. But again, I'm still of two minds about whether I'm going to actually do it when the time comes.
And there's no harm having a wish list. But again, and that's what Steam sales are for. You can have wish lists. And
yeah,
again,
Steam does sales a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Steam makes it worth the effort. Again, it's entirely. This is the thing. I'm like, I don't like convincing people of this one way or the other because it's entirely up to your own personal situation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's entirely objective to you as an individual.
Also, it's nice to see games like Arc Raiders is verified on Steam Deck.
Yeah, more often than not, they're verified for the Steam Deck these days because a lot of game devs are going, so, well, if I'm going to be on Steam, I might as well put in that little bit more, that tiny bit of effort to get it on the Steam Deck because that's even broader sales.
And the good thing is, anything that's verified on the Steam Deck I guarantee, will work on the Steam console because the Steam console is just going to be a Steam Deck with scaled up hardware.
Yeah.
But the operating system and emulation under the hood is going to be exactly the same. So, people could look at it and go, oh, well, it's, great. I've got a game that I can actually play on, console. If if you've already got a Steam Deck and you want to get a Steam console, then you don't have to go, well, is the game going to work? I'm like, no, it'll work on both. Right.
So that's where I'm kind of at the minute because I really have soured on gaming. But I am very drawn to Steam Deck because I just fancy doing handheld gaming in my later years, as it were.
Yeah, but again, this is the thing. It's, if you ignore the AAA shit, they said there's good stuff out there. It just means you have to do a little bit of digging. And the thing is, Steam has good tools for going, okay, if I'm interested in particular genres, you can dig through the Steam library and they've got really good tags and really good ways of filtering. So, if you want to go,
really good review setup as well, so you can read through. It's just like, what are the good reviews? What are why the good, why the bad? And they don't just go curate it to only good, only bad. They'll basically go all the latest reviews, and you can see in there, I recommend not, and people explaining why.
Yeah.
And you can read those and go, oh, well, those issues that person had not going to bother me, or if I've seen enough of the whole, these are these problems, so I'm like, okay, and tick that one off, move on to the next one.
Not to mention, I think from memory, it also has, if the people's reviewing it, it tells you how long they've actually played the game for.
Yeah, it specifies how long they've played, if they got it for free, or if they got it as a promotional thing, or if they bought it. So you can make sure none of this bullshit of the whole, oh, yes, it's a wonderful game, oh, it's the best thing ever. And it'll say, was either given this as a promotion or free, so that you can take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this. But it's going to be something I'm going to take my time saving up for because at the minute I'm enjoying retro gaming. And again, playing Radiant Silvergun on the Sega Saturn has become an abusive relationship because that game is fucking solid and I just keep coming back for more each time.
Yeah, it beats you because it loves you.
Yeah. Right, so anything else to add from you guys before we call it a night?
No, again, this is the thing. It's like, well, we get to 2026 is going to be watching the year of AAA burn.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, good and enjoyable things will rise from the ashes. It's just going to be a matter of time.
And don't just rely on what's new. There's plenty of old games out there dating all the way back to the turn of the century.
Oh,
that can fill in all the gaps and poke all the buttons at what you're looking for in games. It's anyone who just relies on what's new. It's like you're going to be sorely disappointed if all you live on is what's new.
Honey, the fact that you used turn of the century just made me feel so goddamn old right now.
Yeah.
I know turn of the century was only 25 years ago, but god damn.
Yeah. Christ, I'm bald as it is. I don't need more grey hairs. Thank you very much, young lady.
Oh, it's like because the alternative from Steam is Good Old Games, GOG.
Yeah.
And that's got stuff dating from back, I think some of the oldest ones they've got sitting on. This is like 92, 93.
Can you use the Steam Deck with GOG?
No,
they're a separate platform.
That's what's her face? Cyberpunk manufacturer, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red started it as a preservation point for extra games that Steam hadn't gotten hold of yet.
But again, Steam's got a lot of older games. Like it's got the old Fallout ones. Like again, if you want to go back to
all the original. I think it's also got all the way back to Daggerfall. As in old. I think Daggerfall was 94 or something. So yeah. You just have to go looking to find the really, really old stuff. But both of them, because GOG started as a means of preserving really old games, and then they started moving into hosting new games. But Steam's got stuff dating all the way back as well. All you'd have to do is go looking.
All right. So, any other words from you guys, or shall we finish it here?
Nope, we're good.
That's okay.
I'm good.
All right. So, thanks to anyone that tuned in to listen to us. It's much appreciated. And thanks to Peter and Wombat for joining me on this end of year discussion and games. We'll be back next week to discuss comics, both mainstream and indie. So hopefully see you all then. But for now, take care and see you soon. So bye-bye.